Rabotai, welcome back. Okay, Rabotai, Elo lakadosh baruch hu be'olamo, Ela arba amot shel halacha b'vad. All Hashem has in this world is the people that sit and learn halacha in the 4 amot of space. We are continuing today in Siman Reish Tzadik Tet, in halacha Aleph. This will be part 7 of the shiur. We are in the second phase of the Shulchan Aruch. Be'ezrat Hashem b'lineder, we're going to do today Siv Kat and Dalet in the Mishabur with the Sha'ar Tzion. In Otchet also we have to do very important Chazon Ovadia in Shabbat on page Shin Tzadik Dalet, halacha 3. Very important Chazon Ovadia. But before we start that, I want to just get 2 things clarified that we spoke about yesterday in part 6 of the shiur. Number 1, we spoke about yesterday that there could be a time when a person wants to start eating the bread meal in the prohibited zman. We said that he's not allowed to do it, like the Shulchan Aruch says in Siman Reish Lamed Hey in Halacha Bet. But at the same time, we saw that there are times when a person is allowed to go ahead and eat bread in the prohibited time. So we have to understand how could it be? It seems like it's a contradiction. So we saw yesterday that Rav David Yosef Shlita, Rav Yitzchak Yosef Shlita, and the Kavachaim, they all said that when you daven Aravit after Plaga Mincha, that Shema which you said, we will allow that Shema to allow you to begin to eat in the prohibited time. But if you didn't daven Aravit, and now you are in the 30 minutes close to Shema, we're not going to allow you to begin to eat in the prohibited time. That's why there is no contradiction. One more time. We have 2, they're both prohibited times. It's asur to eat here, and it's asur to eat here. But what makes it mutar to eat in one of the cases? Because since you davened Aravit, that's going to go ahead and allow you to eat in the prohibited time. But we did see a very important halacha. This whole leniency of davening Aravit after Plaga Mincha and allowing you to eat in the prohibited time, that's specifically inside the 30 minutes close to Shema. But Rabotai, if a person did not begin within the 30 minutes or before the 30 minutes, he wanted to begin at the time of Shema itself. We saw yesterday that according to Rav Yitzchak Yosef, Rav David Yosef, and the Kavachaim, no, you're not going to be allowed to. You have to first go ahead and say Shema, and then you're allowed to begin the meal. 1 second. But I davened Aravit after Plaga Mincha. Why shouldn't that help me? Just like it helps for the prohibited time, inside the 30 minutes. No. Over here, since we're dealing with the Shema, which is from the Torah, we're going to tell you, you're mamish at the time, so you're going to have to say Shema, even though you already davened Aravit after Plaga Mincha. Okay, Rabbi, I just wanted to get that out of the way, but we did see according to Rabbi Dahan, he brought the Beit Yosef, where he said you could actually be lenient, and we did mention over there, you should ask your local rabbi for what to do. Rabbi, that was in part 6. Another thing I wanted to clarify is yesterday I was defining in Sivkat and Gimel Mishnah Berurah that when he says over here, that specifically in this case that you began to eat in a permissible fashion, and I defined it as being 31 minutes before the 3 stars come out, or 35 minutes, or 40 minutes. But I did not want to define it as mib'od yom, because that's what mib'od yom means. That if a person began to eat during the day, pashut, you're allowed to continue into nightfall. So I told you that this halacha of the Mishnah Berurah and the Sivkat and Gimel did not apply to us when it's within the 30 minutes. Because there's no such a thing by us. I'll put it like this. For Shabbat, there's no problem. Again, you have to remember, you have to always have everything in front of you when you're learning Torah. If we said that L'chadchil, we want you to start before sunset, but if you didn't start before sunset, then you have the 50 minutes or 13.5 minutes after sunset. Correct? So you have those minutes. So therefore, you don't have that Zman HaIsr, if I can call it, the forbidden time, because that is within 30 minutes. That's I couldn't have learned it like that, because you have to remember. Put it to you like this. Watch. Let me see. Just want you guys to understand. And I'll show you this. I was, because when I said it, I had to now, because I said it yesterday, because when I was saying it, I was explaining, but I wanted to find also who else says this. That's all. See? Where'd the markers go? Okay. Rabotai, remember I mentioned in the review that this whole Sivkat and Gimel, it's very hard to apply it for us for Shabbat. You had to go ahead and apply it on a regular weekday, as I explained. Why is that? So, let me just make sure you guys see everything. 1 second. Last time I paid attention, got cut off. Okay, it's clear. Okay, Rabotai, sorry about that. Here we go. If 6:15 is when the 3 stars come out, and 6 o'clock is sunset, pay close attention. That means if I have to go back 30 minutes, it's going to be 5:45. So what do you want to tell me? What do you want to tell me? If I start Mibod Yom, or if I start in prohibited time, on Shabbat we don't have that problem, Rabotai. When are you going to have this problem of starting Beheter and starting Be'Easter? That's in a regular weekday. Beheter meaning to say that if you started 31 minutes before when the 3 stars come out, that's called Bisman HaHeter. Bisman HaEaster means in the 30 minutes, close to Shema. But to apply that same rule over here, what do you want me to do? If you start with Be'od Yom, it's Bisman HaHeter? Where? Exactly where? Over here? We already know that. You want to tell me Bisman HaEaster where? Over here? It's okay, you're allowed to also eat over there. So really, this whole halacha of Bisman HaHeter Easter does not apply because it's Pashut Rabotai. And again, we showed the Ben Ish Chai, the Orly Tune, but we don't all like them. So all I'm just trying to tell you over here in simple term is that whenever we saw over here in the Mishnah Berurah, it says, Shidchil Lechol Beheter, in the world of the Mishnah Berurah, he would have tell you clearly, if you would have began during the day, then we're going to tell you don't have to stop. But if you began in the Zman HaEaster, good, according to them, that's good because you began in the Zman. Why? Because if you remember, according to them, the 3 stars coming out is a little bit later. So when you go back 30 minutes, you still are good because you have about, I think, you had almost about, I think, maybe 25 minutes. I completely forgot. But you had much more time than we have now. For us, there's no Bisman HaEaster, Bisman HaHeter. It's all one. But for them, there is such a thing. If you start during the day, or even if you didn't start during the day, even if you started way after this, but still you can start in the 30 minutes. Like we explained about that in the previous shurim. I think it was maybe part 2, part 1 even maybe. But in any event, I think it was more part 2. Okay. But anyway, I just want to try to show you over here that when we say Bisman HaHeter, you could learn like the Mishnah Berurah goes clearly on the day. But for us, since it's very hard to say it, and you don't even have Bisman HaEaster on Shabbat, because Bisman HaEaster, the 30 minutes is your entire, when you're eating on Ben Mashot, which we allow you to do B'di'evet, that's Bisman HaEaster. How do you allow me to eat? And you didn't daven Arav eat. You understand, Abotai? So therefore, what I'm going to do is like this. I want to read for you over here now. Chacham Avad, Rabotai. Listen what he brings the opinion, which is very nice. I was very happy to see it. He said like this: Ubahagaot Hagrach Sanzer Katav. Ulochoira Hadavar Tarachim says seemingly it needs to be looked into. Why? She'ech, listen to this. She'ech yemutar latchil b'sudah shel shit b'savka sheikha. What was bothering me also? How can one begin to eat sudah shel shit in twilight? How can one begin after sunset? By us, that's within 30 minutes. How do you begin? Typically, she'en latchil b'sudah mishum kriyat shema u'tefillah shel arvit. why don't you learn out that you're not allowed to begin eating Sudah Shalishit because of Kriya Shema and Tefillah, like we showed in Siman Reish Lamed. Hey, it clearly says over there that one is not allowed to begin with the 30 minutes. When did we say you are allowed to go ahead and begin in the 30 minutes? That's if you daven Arvit, but on Shabbat you didn't daven Arvit yet. It's Sudah Shalishit. You're just starting. You just daven Mincha and you're starting to go ahead and now eat the Sudah Shalishit. So he says, V'yesh lomar, you can say, D'shani hachas Sudah Shalishit mitzvah overet. Over here is very different. That Sudah Shalishit is a pass-buying mitzvah. If we're not going to do the mitzvah now, you're not going to be, when are you going to do it? And it's not going to be pushed away because of the Safik HaSheikha that you in those, according to us, that Safik HaSheikha, which is Rabotai, remember, you from 5:45 till 6:15, this is all called Mana Isser. We're not going to push this away because according to this, if you want to use this Mana Isser, you couldn't even begin at 5:45. You have to go like the Ben Ish Chai that said you have to begin at 5:44. If you guys remember, the Ben Ish Chai held like this, by the way, that if you started within 30 minutes, meaning if you start at 5:45, you have to stop at 6 o'clock because you started in this Mana Isser. We don't hold like that. We tell you you can even start 5:59. But that's what he's telling you here. The Shani Haka Sudah Shalishit mitzvah overet ve'en nidchem mishum safek. Over here is different because Sudah Shalishit, it's a pass-buying mitzvah and it does not get pushed away because of the safek. Shem yavor zman krishma with tefillat arvit. Because maybe you're going to pass over the time of Krishma and the prayer of Arvit can nearly ikar ad kan. So he says up to you, seems to me is the main thing, up to you is the language of a Grach Sanzer. And here Rabotai, he goes on at full length to go ahead and explain why you can't apply over here that whole business of Zmana Isur that is forbidden. By owning Shabbat, you don't have it. Because if you want to be Machmir here, then you're going to be lenient by nullifying the mitzvah of owning Shabbat, which we don't want you to do. So therefore, Rabotai, that's why I had to learn this Mishabur in a completely different angle. If you want to go to Mishabur simple during the day, fine. Even if you go to bed and still you have the Zmana Isur because it's 30 minutes later. But our Zmana Isur starts from 5:45 to 6:15. Their Zmana Isur probably would be maybe around 6:30 till maybe even later, like around. Right, the sunset will be over here, 6 o'clock. Maybe I think it was like till 6:45, if I'm not mistaken. They have another extra 45 minutes to go, or 25 minutes, whatever it was. But I'm just trying to tell you, there's Mana Isur starts way after. Ours Mana Isur starts even in the day. In any event, Rabotai, hopefully that cleared some things up, okay? I needed to get it out there because I don't want people to go ahead and make any confusion. Again, you could learn Bisman Heta like the Mishabur that you start during the day. Good. Keep it simple. So, let's go into Sivkat and Dalet. Rabotai, we have over here now in Sivkat and Dalet, whatever I'm going to say for Mibbe'od Yom, understand that this also goes Bisman HaIsur. Again, because since we're dealing in Shabbat, those same halachot are going to apply. And that's what Rav Chacham Avadi brings down over here, that there's no reason for you to stop. You're in a Sudah Shalishit. That's why I said that this whole thing of davening Arvit after Plag Mincha can only apply to the regular weekday. Can't apply on Shabbat. Because once you daven Arvit, Shabbat is out. So how you make it Sudah Shalishit? Again, Rabotai, understand, logically, use your seichel, use your brain, how to go ahead and learn it step by step. Okay. So we said like this. We said in the Shulchan Aruch, now we're starting a new piece, meaning in Sivkat and Dalet. We said in the Shulchan Aruch that if a person was sitting and he was eating when it was still day, and then night fell, it became dark on him, we said, Ein tzarich lafsik, he doesn't have to stop. He doesn't have to stop. Comes the Mishabura, he says in Sivkat and Dalet, Ein tzarich lafsik, va'afilu likriyat shema utifilam. Now again, I want to make this clear. Even for Kriya Shema and Tefillah, he explains over here, Ein tzarich lafsik be'emtza sudato. You do not need to stop in the middle of the meal. Why? Because since you began when it was day, which was in a permissible manner. Because since you begin before 6 o'clock, that's considered better. You began in a permissible way. Good. Even now night comes, you don't have to stop. Because that's what the halacha says. When would you have to stop? If you began in a if you began in a forbidden manner, and you didn't down Arvit on a regular day, that would be a problem. Over here, you won't technically over here, you won't have this problem. By us, you won't have this problem. Because again, you are dealing, you have to understand, our 30 minutes is mib'od yom, is when it's still day. 50 minutes are there, and 50 minutes is when it's ben hashmashot. So, therefore on Shabbat, you can't apply this. So I'm going to tell like this, Rabotai, what the Mishnah is telling us will be like this, that I'm going to tell like this, even if a person began to eat at 6:01, because if you began here, you don't have to stop. Even if you began here, you also don't have to stop. Not for Shema and not for Aravit. Not like the Shulchan Aruch says, you do have to stop. Over there, you have to say that it's speaking about a regular weekday. Oh, but you're going to tell me I didn't daven Aravit? You're right. But this is Onyx Shabbat. This is Sudash Lashit. It's a mitzvah. It's a mitzvah which is passing by. And we're not going to tell you to go ahead right now and do at Aravit and no, continue eating. So therefore, even if a person began at 6:05, we're going to tell him he's allowed to continue to 6:15. Even though the time came, you don't have to stop. You don't have to nothing. Continue eating until you finish your bread meal, and then you're going to go ahead and daven Aravit. So one more time. If a person went ahead and he began during the day, or according to us, even during Ben Hashmashot, right? The same halach would apply to them also, because their Easter is 30 minutes way after Ben Hashmashot. Okay, one more time. Even in the middle of the Krish, even for Krish Shema and prayer, one does not need to stop in the middle of the meal once it already gets dark. Why? Since he began when it was day, which was beheter. For us, there's no heter, because if you began at 5:59, that's not heter. So what are we going to have to tell you? We're going to have to tell you that this whole Zman, from 5:45 to 6:15, is still called Zman heter. Basically telling you that on Shabbat, there's no such thing as Zman Isur. That's it. You don't have that 30 minutes because of Oneg Shabbat. Do not try to be machmir now and try to go ahead and stop. Rabotai, listen to this. If I went ahead and I started the meal, doesn't matter. Right? According to us, doesn't matter when you start. L'chadchil, we want you to start before 6. If you didn't start before sunset, start after sunset. But as long as you're not after when the 3 stars come out. But wherever you started, doesn't matter. We're going to tell you, you're not allowed to stop over here to say Shema or daven Tefillah. But now he tells you, even at 6:16, do not be stringent to interrupt your meal to go ahead and say Shema or daven Shomnes or whatever. Why? Because if you would stop in the middle of your meal, it seems that you are sending away Hashem away. You're sending Shabbat away. That's what it seems. Because right now you're still in the middle of Shabbat. So you want to go ahead and you want to say Shema. By you saying Shema, you want to say, okay, you want to say Shabbat, that's it, I'm done with you. Similar to this, they expounded in the Mechilta. Zachor v'shamor. We know we have Zachor v'shamor. To remember and to guard. What does it mean, Shamor? Shamrechu bitziato. Guard the Shabbat when it's coming out. Meaning, Kishadam she'eno rotzeh sheyelech ohavo me'etzlo kol zman sheyachol. You want, like a person that he doesn't want, somebody that's dear to him, to leave from him as long as possible. Meaning, he wants to have this guest close by him as long as possible. He doesn't want him to go away. Same thing with Shabbat, that if a person goes ahead and he's going to go ahead and now try to say Shema at 6:16, or should try to daven Arvit when he's still in the middle of Sudah Shalishit, it's as if you're divorcing Shabbat. You're saying, Shabbat, I want nothing to do with you. But that's not the way of a guest. The way of a guest means that's not the way of a host. I apologize. That's not the way of a host. The way of a host is when you love somebody, when somebody's dear to you, you try to keep them by you as long as possible. You don't want them to run away. So by you going ahead and saying Shabbat now, it's as if you tell the guest, okay, go, go, go. You're saying Shabbat, go, go. That's what he tells you here. Do not be stringent over here in this to stop because it doesn't look right. It seems that you are sending away Shabbat earlier than you have to. But rather what? You want to try to keep Shabbat with you. That's why you prolong the meal. That's why you eat, you sing songs, you learn whatever it is, because you want Shabbat to still be with you. Now he says, V'im ifsik, what happens if he did start? He did stop, I'm sorry. V'im ifsik tocha suda v'itpalel. What happens if he went ahead and he stopped in the middle of the third meal, and he went ahead and he davened Arvit? Katav Magen Avraham, the Magen Avraham wrote, De'efshar dechala alav chovat havdalam. It's possible by him davening Arvit, it's possible that the obligation of Havdalah fell on him. Ve'asur lechol ad sheyavdil. Now it's going to be forbidden for him to eat, excuse me, until he does Havdalah. That is the opinion of the Magen Avraham, but he says it is possible. Rabotai, if we look into Ot Chet in the Shar Tzion, he says, "V'ayim be'el Yerabba." Look into the El Yerabba. Shekadav that he wrote, the enzem mukhrach. You're not forced to learn like this. Why? Just because of I davened Arvit, Havdalah falls on me? Again, l'may nafkamina, what comes out of this? What do I care if you davened Arvit or not? Because if you davened Arvit, then you basically send away Shabbat. Now the whole question is, are you allowed to go back and eat the third meal? Can you continue to have the third meal? Or we're going to tell you first do Havdalah, and then continue the third meal. So that's what he's telling over here. You first have to go ahead and do Havdalah, and only then can you continue. But he says in the El Yerabba, he says, Shekatav, the enzem mukhrach. The El Yerabba wrote that you're not forced to learn like this, that if a person davened Arvit in the middle of the third meal, I'm not forced to learn over there that I have to go ahead and do Havdalah. But nevertheless comes the El Yerabba and he says, B'ma shamar b'toch hasuda. This El Yerabba is 100% sure that if a person said in the middle of the Suda, of the meal, Tevat, if he said these words, Baruch hamavdil ben kodesh lechol, if a person is sitting and eating in the middle of the third meal, again, you have to be careful, that's already after Shabbat, when the 3 stars came out, right? Not 6 feet, I'm talking about when Shabbat came out, right? Because remember, you have to remember, how do you calculate when Shabbat comes out? Depends if you go like the Geonim or Rabbeinu Tam. Very simple. If candle lighting is at 4 o'clock, so that means Shabbat is coming out at 5 o'clock. And if you want to go like Rabbeinu Tam, you add another half an hour. As simple as that, Rabotai. So therefore, if a person right now is sitting in the middle of the Suda meal, and he's going to want to go ahead and say Baruch HaMavdil Bekosh L'chol because he wants to do something, we'll see right now, good. You have to make sure that this is not in the time of Shabbat. It has to be already after Shabbat. So if Shabbat is at 4 o'clock, you want to be able to say these words, Baruch HaMavdil Bekosh L'chol, at 5 o'clock in order for you to do something which is not allowed to be done on Shabbat. So that's what he says over here. The El Yerabba said, but if with these words that he said in the middle of the meal, Baruch HaMavdil Bekosh L'chol, Kidesh yuchal lahadlik ner v'chadumeh, you know, he was eating in the third meal, he wanted to light a candle, or he wanted to smoke, I don't know, or he wanted to turn on the cameras in the house, or he had to do something, I don't know about that, he had to do something which you're not allowed to do on Shabbat, but it's already after Shabbat, but he still didn't say Baruch HaMavdil, he still didn't daven Arvit. Good. The El Yerabba says that if you say these words, Baruch HaMavdil ben Kodesh L'chol, that's going to go ahead and allow you to do what you have to do on Shabbat. You can use your phone and so on and so forth, even though you're in the middle of Sudah Shlishit. We'll see later on towards the end of the chapter. But he says, but with this alone, by saying Baruch HaMavdil ben Kodesh L'chol, with that alone, bevadai for sure, lo chal alav choved havdalah umutar ligmor sudato. The obligation of Havdalah did not fall on him. Right? 1 second. Yes. He says, with this alone, for sure the obligation of Havdalah does not fall on him, and it's permissible to go ahead and finish the Sudah Shalishit without a problem. Rabotai, so what is the El Yerabba telling us? The El Yerabba is saying, this is what the Magen Avraham wanted to say, that if a person davens Shemar Esrei, because in the Shemar Esrei you have over there, Atachonotanu, because you do Havdalah in the Shemar Esrei also. So the Magen Avraham wants to say, it's possible, by saying Atachonotanu, now you took Shabbat is no longer here. So maybe when you want to go continue back in eating, you're not allowed to eat. Why? Because you didn't do Havdalah. Because you already took out Shabbat. So there we have to do Havdalah, and then you're allowed to continue eating. Comes the Eli Rabbi says, I'm not forced to learn like you. Maybe not. Maybe even if I davened Shemoneh Esrei and said Atachon Otanu, who says I have to do Havdalah? It's only Atachon. What did I do? Who says I have to do Havdalah? I didn't do real Havdalah, correct? I didn't. Why are you telling me that I have to go ahead and do Havdalah and then go eat? What did I do that is requiring me to go ahead and say Havdalah before I eat? What? So that's what the Eli Rabbi is not so happy with that. But nevertheless, the Eli Rabbi says, but if a person went ahead and in the middle of the meal, when it's after Shabbat, when Shabbat came out, and he said these words, Baruch HaMafdil Ben Kodesh Lechol, because with those words you will see you're allowed to do work. He tells you with those words alone, if you went ahead and he said it because he wanted to light a candle, or he wanted to smoke, or he wanted to turn on the computer, whatever the situation might be, with those words alone, that does not obligate you to go ahead and say Havdalah, and then for you to allow you to continue to eat. So Rabotai, we're going to conclude over here. We're going to do a small review right now. So we said like this. We had the two clarifications. All right, we're not going to go through the right. You know, okay, fine. Rabotai, we have to do it. We went through the two clarifications. Clarification number one was that whenever we say Bizman HaIser, at times you're allowed to eat Bizman HaIser, at times you're not allowed to eat Bizman HaIser. How is that possible? Doesn't it seem contradictory? No. Whenever you went ahead and you davened Arvit after Plaga Mincha, there we're going to tell you you're allowed to eat Bizman HaIser. But if you didn't daven Arvit after Plaga Mincha, over there we're going to tell you it's asur for you to eat Bizman HaIser. However, we did see that even if a person davened Arvit after Plaga Mincha, and now the time of Shema came, and you didn't begin before, you didn't begin in Bizman HaIser, you want to begin literally right now at the time of Shema, over there we're going to tell you, you first have to say Shema, even if you davened Arvit after Plaga Mincha, and only then are you allowed to continue to eat the bread meal. Which Rabbi Dan was lenient. He said you don't have to say Shema, and you could continue eating the bread meal, and only when you finish, then you could go ahead and say Shema. And also we saw another point regarding the heter business. In the world of the Mishnah Berurah, what does it mean heter? Heter means mib'od yom. According to us, what does it mean heter? Since I can't apply it to the case of Shabbat only because from 5:45 till 6:15, all this is called Bizman HaIser. So according to us, Rabotai, Bizman HaHeter means 31 minutes before the three stars come out, or 31 minutes before one has to say Shema, which is equal to when the three stars come out. So that's called Bizman HaHeter. Bizman HaIser we saw is the 30 minutes, right, from 5:45 on a regular day, from 5:45 to 6:15. Those 30 minutes are called Bizman HaIser. Then we did see over here in the Mishnah Berurah Sivkat and Dalet that if a person began mib'od yom on Shabbat, Rabotai, all this right now is on Shabbat only. We don't have that because we're in Bizman HaIser. But he said if a person began mib'od yom during the day, or according to us, you began even at 6:05, even according to them, even according to Ashkenazim, you can also use this logic, Rabotai. Let me not confuse you. But we're going to tell you like this, that if a person began, doesn't matter, any time in the spirit that he began, we're going to tell you that he does not need to stop in the middle of the meal when he passes the Kriyas Shema mark, when he passes the mark from when the three stars come out. Over there we're going to tell you don't have to stop, not for Shema and not for Tefillah. Why? Because we allowed you to eat. According to the Mishnah Berurah, since you began in Bizman HaHeter, meaning during the day, according to us, because of Onik Shabbat. So therefore we tell you, you don't have to stop. And not only that, not only don't you have to stop, we tell you don't even be stringent. Don't try to be a tzaddik and go ahead and stop and try to daven. Why? By you going ahead and stopping in the middle of the meal, it shows Hashem, it shows Shabbat, that you want nothing to do with Shabbat. You want to get him out of the house as quickly as possible. And we saw the Mechilta that said, what does it mean Zechor v'Shamor? What does it mean Shamor? You want to try to go ahead and guard the Shabbat in its coming out. You want to try to keep it by you as long as possible. But we did see that if a person did interrupt to go ahead and daven Arvit in the middle of his meal, right? We explained that the Magen Avraham wrote, he said it's possible that the obligation of Havdalah fell on him and he's not allowed to eat until he does Havdalah. We saw the Eliyah Rabbah. The Eliyah Rabbah said, what do you mean? No, I'm not forced to learn like you. But he doesn't tell us what the halakha is going to be. However, we saw here that if a person alone, he didn't daven Arvit. He just said, Baruch HaMavdil Ben Kodesh L'Chol because he wanted to use his phone. Or somebody called him. So in the middle of the third meal, which is already after Shabbat, he said, Baruch HaMavdil Ben Kodesh L'Chol because he wanted to pick up the phone. No problem. That alone will not, that for sure we know, that alone will not obligate you to go ahead and do Havdalah and then to eat. Meaning to say, you're allowed to go ahead and eat without doing Havdalah. Rabotai, as of now we're going to go to Mishnah Berurah, like the Magen Avraham says. I'll double check it one more time, because I don't see no footnotes, nothing. But as of now we're going to go with the Mishnah Berurah in the name of the Magen Avraham, that if a person went ahead and he davened Aravit during Sudah Shlishit after when Shabbat came out, now after Aravit he wants to sit down with the family and have continued Sudah Shlishit meal, we're going to tell him, you first have to do Havdalah and only then are you allowed to continue to go ahead and eat your meal. And we did see very important Chazon Ovadia, that how come on Shabbat we don't have this Zman HaIsur, this 30 minutes, why don't we have it? Because of Oneg Shabbat. Rabotai, have a great day. Baruch Adonai Olam. Amen ve'amen.